In the heart of a small Ghanaian village, not far from Kumasi, stood a large and beautiful restaurant called the Royal Dish. It was the pride of the community. Big cars from the city often came and parked in front. Inside, wealthy men and women sat on soft chairs and enjoyed expensive meals. The woman who owned the place was called Madame Serwa. People in the village called her Auntie Serwa. She was rich. Very rich. She always wore elegant dresses with gold earrings that sparkled. Her handbag was always polished, her heels clicking sharply whenever she walked into the restaurant. When she entered every morning, the staff stood up quickly to greet her. "Good morning, madam," they would chorus. She would nod her head and smile politely, watching everything quietly. Behind the bright lights and luxury, something unusual was about to unfold. Something that would touch even the coldest heart. It was a quiet night in the village. The Royal Dish was closing. The customers had gone, and most of the staff had left. Madame Serwa stepped out of her office, tired from a long day. She loosened her scarf and sighed, heading toward her shiny black Lexus parked outside. But then she noticed something strange. A boy stood near her car, not too close, but not far either. He wore the simple brown and yellow uniform of the restaurant staff. His slippers were worn out, and his hands were folded in front of him. "Who is that?" Madame Serwa whispered. She stepped closer. The boy raised his head for a moment, then quickly looked down. "You're one of the cleaners, right?" she asked. "Yes, madam," the boy said softly. His voice trembled. "My name is Kofi." Madame Serwa studied him carefully. "So why are you standing here instead of going home?" Kofi bit his lip, took a breath, and finally whispered, "Please, madam, may I take some leftover food home?" For a moment, Madame Serwa just stared. "Leftover food," she repeated. "That's all you want?" "Yes, madam. If there's any." The silence between them felt heavy. Kofi looked weak and tired, but his eyes were filled with something more than hunger, something deeper. Finally, Madame Serwa nodded. "All right." Kofi bowed his head quickly. "Thank you, madam," he said, before rushing back into the kitchen. Madame Serwa stood still by her car, watching. Something inside her chest shifted. About 10 minutes later, Kofi emerged with 2 small nylon bags. He held them carefully, close to his chest, and began walking down the dusty village road. Instead of driving away, Madame Serwa turned off her car engine and quietly followed him. She kept a safe distance so he wouldn't notice. Kofi walked quickly, taking narrow footpaths. Eventually, he boarded a crowded Trotro village bus. Without thinking twice, Madame Serwa also followed in her car. The ride lasted almost 30 minutes. The bus finally stopped near an abandoned-looking settlement. Kofi got down and walked into a narrow dirt path. Madame Serwa parked far behind and continued on foot. The houses here were old and broken. No electricity, no shops, no cars, just silence. Kofi stopped in front of a small mud house with cracks in the walls and a rusty roof. "This is his home," Madame Serwa whispered. Her heart squeezed. She stood hidden in the shadows, watching. The door creaked open, and suddenly 2 little boys ran out barefoot. "Brother Kofi," they shouted, leaping into his arms. Kofi dropped the bags and hugged them tightly. "I'm here, Kwame, Kojo. I brought something for you." Madame Serwa's eyes stung with tears. Through a broken window, Madame Serwa peered inside. She saw Kofi place the nylon bags on the floor. He brought out the food, a small portion of jollof rice and 1 piece of chicken. He divided the food into 2 small plates and gave them to his little brothers. The boys grabbed them eagerly and began to eat, their eyes glowing with joy. But Kofi did not touch a single bite. He just sat on the floor, smiling at them, though his own stomach growled. Madame Serwa's lips trembled. "So this is why he begged," she whispered. Her heart ached as tears rolled down her face. She turned away from the window and held her chest. For the first time in many years, she didn't feel rich. She only felt pain. The next morning, Kofi went to work as usual. He mopped the floors, scrubbed the tables, and cleaned the toilets with quiet determination. He never complained. From her office upstairs, Madame Serwa watched him closely. Finally, she sent for him. "Kofi," she said gently when he entered. "Sit down." He looked nervous. "Did I do something wrong, madam?" "No," she said softly. "But I know your secret. I followed you last night. I saw your brothers. I saw everything." Kofi's face fell. Tears filled his eyes. "Please, madam. I didn't mean to steal. I only wanted food for them." Madame Serwa shook her head. "You did nothing wrong. You are a good brother, Kofi. A very strong one." Kofi lowered his head, silent tears falling. "From today," Madame Serwa continued, "you will no longer be just a cleaner. You will work as my personal assistant. Your salary will increase." And she handed him a brown envelope. "I have rented a small apartment for you and your brothers. Somewhere clean, with electricity and water. You will not live in that broken house again." Kofi's hand shook. He dropped to his knees. "Madam, I don't know what to say. Thank you so much." That evening, a shiny car stopped in front of Kofi's old mud house. The driver stepped out and smiled. "Young man, Madame Serwa sent me. I'm here to take you and your brothers to your new home." Kofi turned to Kwame and Kojo, his voice breaking. "Pack your things. We're moving." When they arrived at the new house, the boys ran from room to room, shouting with joy. "We have real beds. Look, brother, a real kitchen." Kofi stood still, tears streaming down his face. He whispered, "God, thank you." That night, the small home was filled with laughter, the smell of food, and hope. The next morning, Madame Serwa called. "Kofi," she said kindly, "take the day off. Stay home with your brothers. Cook something nice. Rest. Today is for you." Kofi's heart swelled with gratitude. "Thank you, madam. God bless you." He put down the phone, turned to his little brothers, and said, "From now on, we will never go hungry again." The three of them joined hands and prayed together, their hearts full of faith and joy. Dear reader, this story reminds us that sometimes the people beside us are fighting silent battles we cannot see. Kofi did not beg for money, he begged for food, not for himself, but for his little brothers. And Madame Serwa chose to see, to care, and to act. One act of kindness can change an entire life.